Welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so excited to see you here again. Today we are diving into some family drama, more specifically married drama. I am just so excited to share them to you. Let's get started. By the way, you guys, before I dive in, make sure you guys check out my second channel and all of the links down below. I would love to see you there because at this point you are my bestie, so let's go. We're starting off with a TikTok video.
My husband has a girl best friend and I hate it. Story time. My husband Steve has a best friend who we'll call Amy. And they have known each other their whole life. They're like childhood best friends.
Okay.
In the past, I've overheard Steve say that he owes Amy his life. He's told me before that they got together when they were in high school, but nothing else has ever happened. Now, I have never really been Amy's biggest fan, but I'd say a turning point for me was when Steve decided to have Amy as his best woman at our wedding. I feel like Amy's definitely the definition of a pick-me girl. I never ever thought I'd be this girl, but I've asked Steve to cut Amy out of his life multiple times. But he said that he didn't think this was a necessary move. Everything did get a little bit better last year when Amy got married, and this relationship moved pretty quick. They were married and pregnant within 4 months of dating. Now, unfortunately, the guy did up and leave Amy when she was pregnant, and this made her mental health spiral, as you can imagine. And it was also when Amy and Steve's relationship started to get a little bit closer. Steve, my husband, started to take Amy to her midwife appointments.
Stop it. No. Okay, first of all, hold on. So your husband had this friend Amy, right? Okay, that happens. People do have friendships with the opposite sex, that's fine. But when your friend gets pregnant and your husband suddenly becomes her personal driver, that is fine. I just think it's just getting a little bit too close. I think she's not going to take that right, especially when she's trying to cope with whatever she's going on with. Okay.
Next thing you know, he's building the nursery, and he even promised that he would be there at the birth of the baby. So as you can imagine,
Wait, did you just say that he would be there at the birth of the baby? Why is he taking it like that?
I've got some pretty strong feelings towards Amy. So I expressed all of this to Steve, and he said as a sorry he was going to book me a really fun birthday day. He called it like my celebrity day. We had a really nice hotel booked, an expensive meal, but it just so happened that Amy went into labour 6 weeks early. At this point, I'd had enough. And I was like, babe, this is my day, okay? Please do not let this other woman ruin it for me. And that was when Steve told me to grow up and stop being so childish.
Grow up and stop being so childish. Here's the thing. I have had reacted to a story like this similar. There was a girl best friend that had her birthday, but the wife was sick. I just feel like in occasions like this, you are supposed to really just spend your time with the wife, the person you chose to stay with, right? I get your friend is coping with some troubles, but she decided that she wants to go that path, right? You don't have that responsibility. You could be always there for your friend, but you cannot just forget about your wife like that and call her childish and shame her for how she feels about the situation.
He said that we can celebrate another day, or I could ask one of my friends to come with me. I told him to not bother coming home unless he had a paternity test for that child.
So yeah, what I think is that friends should always help, but he doesn't need to deliver the baby. He doesn't need to be there when he could definitely meet her after and like meet her and stuff and congratulate her and invite you to be there, but you can't just call your wife childish and be there for someone else.
And just a couple of add-ons about Amy. Amy's husband actually left her because she cheated on him. And if you're thinking, why hasn't this girl got any friends to go to the birth with her and why is she picking someone else's husband? It's because she gets with all of her friends' boyfriends.
Of course.
Literally all my family and all of his family think that this baby is his. And actually, next week I'm going on my birthday celebration with Steve's mum. And your mum actually said that she wishes that I had been her child and not you. Have fun with your new family, babe.
Okay, that was definitely a little too hard and funny in my opinion. It shouldn't go this way, honestly, and the real party that you're supposed to celebrate is your wife because you promised her to do that. You can't just be calling her childish. That's what really caught me off guard. That is something that really hurts me. If your partner cares more about your friend than about you, that is a red flag, and that is something that is called a backup dad. So be aware, and your husband needs to wake up in that sense. This is not how it's supposed to be happening. What do you guys think about the situation? Let me know in the comments, because that one is a little hard, and I agree with both ways. You should be there for your friend, but you should not forget about your partner that is struggling, that you don't understand how they're feeling. All right, I'm rambling. Let's get to the Reddit now. Am I the a-hole for kicking my entire family out of 1 a.m. on Christmas after they showed up unannounced? No, but I have to read it. Merry Christmas, everyone. This was 4 years ago. Throw away because I don't want my family affiliated with my main account, LMAO. Context, I am 29 male, my husband is 27 male, and we have 2-year-old son. I lost touch with my family in my early 20s after coming out. They reached out right after my son was born, talking about joys of family and we can reconnect. They want to be grandparents and all. We have been very slowly building a relationship, but they have no concept of boundaries, so it's not going to be so well. That is a long story. Only reason they call visit now is to see the baby and be salty to me. I don't like how that sounds. They do sound like they do not respect boundaries and probably don't know what that is. They live 5 hours away and they asked me to visit family for Christmas so they could see the baby. I said no, we are in pandemic. TF, they said, well, we can come over and see the baby. I said no, that's the same thing. They showed up anyway with no notice. My mother, my dad, sister, brother-in-law, brother, sister-in-law, their kids, etc. Literally 9 people. Their plan was to stay over and have a baby spend Christmas with his cousins and make memories. We live in a 3-bedroom house. Obviously, no, for many reasons. They got here around 1 a.m. They said it's snowing outside, it's night visibility, where we'll be going. I said I don't care, leave. There was a whole fit. They made husband cry, woke baby up, then baby cried. Talking about Christmas Eve, hell, it's already Christmas now. It's family, you can't do this, where will we go? I kicked them out anyway. I had to threaten to call the cops, which I admit was dramatic. It does sound like they were uprubbing your boundaries and they did not respect it, so I understand where you're coming from. It does sound like you were a little bit dramatic and the screaming is probably not the worst, but you are trying to protect your family and you are probably trying to just have peace, so I cannot call you the a-hole for that. Baby was up until 5 a.m. after crying, then dancing on our heads. I haven't slept all and guilt is setting in a bit because I keep thinking, where would they have gone? There's no hotels on Christmas. There are no hotels on Christmas. It was night, it was snowing, and what if something bad happened? But a part of me is also mad as well. I keep going back and forth. Maybe it's cause I haven't slept at all. Edit, forgot to add, part of a reason why I feel so bad is because they had young kids with them. And I don't like my family, but I don't want something bad happening to them. Might as well have sucked it up and kicked them out in the morning, but again, I don't know. So yeah, I definitely think you're not the a-hole. Let's see what the comments say, but what do you guys think at this point? Would you kick your family out if there is a scenario like this? I probably would, because they did not respect me at all, and I don't want people that don't respect me in my house. So yeah, not the a-hole. It is a huge boundary stomp and ridiculous expectations. They woke you up at 1 a.m. demanding you let them stay at night at your house and being very disrespectful. That is so true. Not the a-hole. You feel bad about turning away the kids they brought because you're a compassionate person, but that's why they brought the kids to your door at 1 a.m. so you would have no choice but let them in. They used the kids to manipulate you. You did the right thing. That is so true. That is so true. I didn't even think about that. They probably thought that you could get pushed and manipulated in some way and not kick them out. You're not the a-hole, my dear. Like, this is crazy. And I hope everything is well now and your boundaries are respected from now on. Am I the a-hole? My husband made himself frozen meal lunch and complained it was disgusting and threw it away. That is a long title. I felt bad and I offered him to have one, and I have been saving for myself, only to discover that what he threw away was my lunch. Then I got upset and told him to pick a lane. What? I am so confused. It's a long one, you guys. So every now and then I buy a random frozen meal to keep on hand for lunch emergencies. I had one in the freezer for a month. My husband saw it a few weeks ago and asked if it was his because he can't remember anything he buys and adds to grocery list. And I said, no, that is mine. Fast forward to yesterday, I hear him knocking something in the kitchen and then loudly declares it's absolutely disgusting, tosses it down the sink, and starts whining about not having lunch. I hadn't eaten that frozen meal and I don't think I would need it this week, so I thought, well, if I let him have it, he will have something to eat and I'll just grab another one next time I'm at the store. I offer him the meal I was saving. He asks which one. I say, the white bean chicken chili. He goes, that is what I just threw away. I love that innocent rage for no reason. Cue my rage. Wait, you took my lunch without asking me and then threw it away when you didn't like it? He says, you wouldn't have liked it. It was completely different from chili. I'm like, yeah, I know. It is white bean chicken chili. It's not supposed to be the regular chili. That is why I bought it. His response, well, it was disgusting. I said, you didn't even check what it was. Didn't remember it was mine. And when you didn't like it, you threw it away instead of asking me about it. He goes, but you offered it to me. I reply, yeah, I offered it because I thought you had nothing else, but now that I know you grabbed my meal without asking and threw it out instead and did not even ask if I wanted it, you decided you didn't even go and eat it, I am a little pissed. Then he got mad and started telling me I was setting him up and no matter what he did was wrong and I was being unreasonable. He told me to pick a lane. I think you are overreacting, OP, a little bit, you know, but I definitely think this is not that big of a deal. I'm not familiar with this because we all cook at home, so I'm sure people do use frozen food, but this is not something that you guys argue about like siblings. It's just my opinion, but let me read through the whole story. I tried to explain why I was mad and said, imagine you heard me complaining about something I recently bought and I decided I didn't like it, so I just threw it away. Then you have this gift card you've been saving for yourself and you say, you know, I was saving this for myself, but since you already spent your money on something you didn't like, you can have my gift card to buy something better. So I go, oh well, thanks, but I already used your gift card to buy a thing I didn't like and threw it away. I saw it lying on the counter, so I just used it. My question is, am I the a-hole because I got mad at him after I discovered he ate and took my lunch and then threw it away, even though there was a brief moment where he appeared and had nothing to eat for lunch, so I offered him mine. I really don't know what to say. I really think you're not the a-hole in that point. I understand you guys discussed this prior. That's why you guys have your own certain lunches. It is probably sad that he didn't offer it to you and didn't even question it. Like, he knew he didn't purchase it. So that is what makes you an a-hole. But there is an update, you guys. There's an update. OP here providing some basic answers. We have been together for nearly 20 years. We are in our late 40s, early 50s. He is older. Grocery shopping is done like this. I make a list of things I want and need for myself, and for recipes I plan on making. He does the same and adds them to our communal list. I go to the store and buy everything once a week, same day every week, as that is how my schedule allows. He will usually go to the store separately on his own multiple times a week, at least 3 days, usually 4, because he wants one specific thing and forgot to add something to the list, or ran out of something and buys things him for himself. These could be snacks, frozen lunches, or once in a while something he communally ran out of and needs as soon as possible to cook dinner with, or something like that. Which is fair. Like I said, you guys probably have your own like lists of what you guys do, and he probably did not realize that he was not the one who was buying this specific thing. Or chili, was it? He usually buys enough frozen meals or relies on leftovers for lunch. I do something similar, except most of the time I do not rely on frozen things. I take time to prepare lunch each day: sandwich, omelet, random snacks, leftovers. Every week I do the grocery shopping. I plan what I'm having that week for lunches and ensure I buy the things I need. The frozen things I buy usually one of two to keep the hand in an emergency, such as I have no time to prepare lunch and need quickly throw something in the microwave. That's why I tend to buy just one every once in a while, and it sits like a spare tire in the trunk of a car. Yeah, I get it. Now I understand what's going on, because I usually don't buy frozen, and I'm not going to be here and judge people for what they're buying, but I just don't understand why this has caused such problem, you know? That's why I'm confused. But my opinion, still not an asshole. Also, I tend to buy something that I know he won't enjoy to deter him from eating it, because he will just eat whatever is there and even say, oh, hey, I was saving that. I have to do the same with snacks. If I buy a bag of chips or a box of crackers, he will just blow it throughout in the day. My work around there is to either not to buy snack food for myself or go to extremes to find things he will not eat, like the one flavor he hates. This happens a lot. Like, I buy a certain type of protein bar that I use during my workouts, and he will eat them like the candy bars. And when I go grab one for my workout, there is an empty box. And if I ask him to please make sure that he replaces them if he's going to eat them all, he gets angry and says he shouldn't have to ration food. I told him it was not rationing, it was simply making sure if I buy something for a specific meal or purpose for myself, that I expect to be there when I need it. This is an ongoing debate between us, and I'm trying not to turn it into a hill to die on. Okay, I see where this is going. You are not the a-hole, definitely, in my opinion, because you're trying to ration him with him, meaning that you are trying to make him understand why you're getting upset in that sense, because it seems like he's literally eating and devouring everything that you buy, and you probably want it too, so that's why you get upset, which I understand completely. Solution to this probably would be either getting more of the things or hiding it at this point. There are people who snack a lot, which is probably a little annoying, definitely. When he throws away your food and then he gets mad at you, it's like breaking your favorite mug and telling you how badly you washed it. Literally does not make sense. As to history, he is most likely has an undiagnosed ADD. He is older generation X. These things were not recognized as often when we were growing up. He has all the classic signs. He is also academically brilliant and can often block everything out, sounds, things, and visual line of sight, when he's laser focused on something that is cognitively engaging. So he's very likely forgot that I said it was mine. However, he could have read the label clearly. Also, it had been in freezer for a month, and I assumed he knew that it was my backup emergency lunch. Finally, when he does not like the taste of something, he does tend to overreact in a very dramatic way, like gagging, screaming as if one of being poisoned or something. So just quietly going, gross, not going to eat this. I sometimes wonder if he's also on a spectrum, because he has visceral yet unusual reactions to very specific situations, such as the smoke alarm goes off when he does not like the taste of something, whereas I would just deal he has rather over the top reaction. So he does seem like to be a little bit more reactive to these things, and probably a little bit more childish in that sense. I would not consider you to be an a-hole, obviously, for this, but let's see what the comment says. Not the a-hole, it was infuriated on your behalf. He asked if it was his. You told him it was yours. He went and cooked it anyway. I don't think she mentioned that he asked, did he? If he did ask, I don't remember that, but if he asked, that is definitely unacceptable. This is not an a-hole situation, okay? Definitely. He went and cooked it anyway, didn't like it, and it was wasteful. Not even bothering to offer it to you once he realized it obviously heated up something he wouldn't have bought for himself. Yeah, I would probably be pissed at that as well, so yeah. Can't agree on this one. Can't agree. Next. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I don't want his mom to come on our vacation with us? You can be honest, I'm okay with being an a-hole because my husband thinks I am. But let me give you some background. Last year, my mother-in-law was having financial struggles and was going to be let go from her job. Her two daughters didn't offer to help, but my husband, being so kind man he is, with my okay, told her she could move out to the West Coast where we live. So I agreed, and she brought her 4 dogs and a bunch of her stuff cramped into our tiny 2-bedroom house. Sounds fun! 4 dogs. So in this tiny house, there is 3 adults, 6 dogs, a 6-year-old, and we're expecting a baby in fall. No. As a few months ago, my sister-in-law wants to move out, and we explained that they should find their own place. We looked at selling, but the markets is no place for that. But if it was just my husband and I and our kiddo, we would make it work. And when the baby is old enough, they could share a room until we could sell this house. We are planning to go out on our last vacation before the baby comes out, and I made it clear I wanted to be just 3 of us. My husband said it would be rude to not invite her, so he invited her. I was hoping because of her dogs she wouldn't go. But now she's making us talk to our neighbor who are friendly with about watching her dogs, and she will pay. I was mad, and the pregnancy hormones make it hard to hide my frustration. My husband told me I'm acting like a brat. When you are pregnant, you really want to have your peace, and I respect that, because being pregnant is probably one of the most hardest thing ever a female body could go through, excluding all the sicknesses. It is completely natural, yes, but it's one of the most hardest thing that you could go through. And him not supporting you at this point and being too kind to his mom with all of her 4 dogs is kind of annoying. That is annoying. My husband told me I'm acting like a brat because if it was my mom, I would do the same thing, but I told him I wouldn't because my mom would understand. Exactly, she probably would. His mom, she wouldn't understand. She believes he can do no wrong, and she believes she's entitled. I mean, this is the same person who got angry. We went on a trip we planned before she moved here and didn't invite her. We can't even have discussions with her because she instantly gets defensive. I really just wanted to have a trip away from her and with my little family before this baby comes, and I'm apparently a bad guy and being selfish. He told me I can be the bad guy and tell her that I don't want her to go, but I already told him before he invited her, and it's not my mom. I'm not the one with the boundary issues. So am I the a-hole to tell her we don't want her to come? I definitely don't think you are the a-hole. It does seem like she is not going to be understanding in this situation, and he is very supportive of his mom. I'm kind of sad that he is inviting her when you did tell him that you don't want that to happen. You just want the 3 of you guys with the baby in the belly, that's all. I guess he considers her to be close family, but it just, in my opinion, I do agree mom is like a very close family, but I don't think they should be involved in the family that close, especially when you guys plan those things together, right? Update, we have an update. I've read your comments and finally this morning had a breakdown. He asked me what was wrong and I just spit everything out and we talked things out. He's going to talk to the neighbor about watching the dogs, and he's going to convince the neighbor just not to do it because he also doesn't want her to go. He said that the part of her reason for not wanting to move here is to go on trips, and I vaguely remember her saying that. We shall see. Yeah. What do you guys think about this? Because I quietly think that you are not the a-hole, obviously. There's rare cases that you guys are a-holes because you're just too kind, you're so sweet, and I am so glad that you were able to stand your point at this situation. You do seem like you really wanted to spend your time alone. This is not something that you reunite your family with, like the mother-in-law and stuff. Yeah, you shouldn't have to be a bad cop. Like, this is not something that you have to be dealing with, especially when it's not your mom. And I'm kind of sad and disappointed that your husband did not stand for you at that point. I'm glad that the things are getting resolved the way you wanted to at the end, but still, I don't like that. If his mom needs babysitting, he can handle himself, honestly, at this point. Let's read the comments, you guys. Strange how your husband being kind means being kind to everyone but his wife and the mother of his child. Yeah, that is kind of weird. Not the a-hole, your opinion is valid. He may not see that because that is his mom. But if the situations were reversed, he for sure would not like his mother-in-law around all the time. Not talking about your mother specifically. People can have their best relationship with in-laws, but at the end of the day, there is always a line. Exactly, I completely agree. You need to talk to him about the time when baby is actually born. What if your mother-in-law's dogs don't react well to the baby? What's then? You will have to move with the little one just to accommodate his mom. You need to talk to him as soon as possible because it's only going to get worse. That is crazy. Okay, and the OP responded to this with, his sister is probably moving here in August, which baby's due in beginning of September. I told him that by then we need to have their own place because I'm only going to tolerate for so long. I've made it very clear I want them out before the baby comes. I don't want them over at our house for a few weeks after because I want space, and that is completely valid, OP. I really hope this gets resolved as soon as possible. This was 14 days ago. I really hope you give us an update really soon. Alright, you guys, let me know in the comments what you thought about this. This one was pretty crazy. I feel bad for the OP so much. I completely understand where she's coming from, and this situation could be a little bit hard. Family dramas are super hard because you have to choose sides, but there's always a thin line that you cannot cross, even if it's your family, you know? Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check all the links in the description below. I will be seeing you again in the next video. So, bye!